Good morning, everyone. I'm going to have him turn that down a little bit. Eric, can you turn it down a little bit? Welcome to the Denali National Park Kennels. If I didn't get a chance to introduce myself to you on the bus, my name is Jessica. I work here at the kennels. That's why I'm not wearing the most beautiful attire, and it's raining out. So I wanted to welcome you to our kennels to get a chance to meet some of our doggies. Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to tell you about how the next about 30 minutes is going to go. I'm going to tell you a little bit about why they're here in the first place and what they're doing nowadays to help protect our wilderness and our national park here. Can you still hear me okay? Making sure. All right, well, I'll explain all of that, and then my team and I are going to go run, hook up some dogs to that sled, make a run around this track, hopefully meet you back here at this pit, introduce the dogs, possibly answer some questions as long as the weather's not too bad, and a few announcements and let you go back and enjoy our dogs. Also, the buses, like I said, on the bus, they're here for you. So they're not going to leave until after the demonstration, so no rush. Stay in the stand throughout the entire demo and enjoy. All right, but I got to ask you a question. Be honest with me here. Before you planned your vacation to Alaska, who knew that there was a working sled dog kennel at Denali National Park? I see a couple of hands. All right. Well, I'm with the majority of you. I'm from Cocoa, Florida. So, yeah. No sled dogs there. And as if that's not crazy enough, I've never even seen snow or the fall colors until now. Still haven't seen snow. Plenty of rain. But, so my first instinct when I got an interview for this job was like, really? They still use sled dogs? I kind of thought that was a little bit prehistoric technology, possibly. You know, I've heard of working mules, working horses at national parks, but never a sled dog team. Well, Denali National Park is actually a very unique park. It's one park out of 401 national parks across our entire United States of America, and it's the only one that has a working sled dog team. So, sled dogs have had a huge impact on Denali National Park, even when it was just lines written on a map. Back in 1917, if you take your imagination hats back with me, there's no roads, no nothing at the time. Titanic, or in this area, Titanic was just built a few years ago and sank. World War I was still being fought. Radio was very popular. Forget TV, that's not for another 30 years. And cars are just being mass produced, and that's when Congress signed into law Mount McKinley National Park. They set aside 1.6 million acres in the middle of Alaska and they set it as a game refuge to protect a certain animal. Anybody know what animal that was? Doll sheep. Yep, exactly. Perfect. Oh, you're good students on those buses. And so, yep, great. Now we have 1.6 million acres in the middle of Alaska to protect all the wildlife in the area. However, as we know, when Congress signs something into law, it doesn't automatically get passed. It's not like hunters have automatically saw, oh, there's a border there. No, those sheep are protected, and all those moose and everything. So there's no fences, no borders, no nothing. There wasn't even a park budget until 1922, and that was $8,000. And if that sounds like a little bit today, it was still a little bit thin. It was about $110,000 buying power and one employee for 1.6 million acres. So if you had $8,000, including your salary, by the way, and you had 1.6 million acres to patrol, how would you do it? Yeah. So sled dogs, exactly. Harry Carsons was actually the first superintendent at the time. He was a renowned dog musher. So he did what came best to him. He bought his first park employees, and they were sled dogs. So he could help patrol that wilderness during the winter months, which is about 6-7 months of this year, even though it's kind of not so snowy now. 6-7 months, there's snow everywhere. So it was really a good way of traveling. So sled dogs are a very unique breed of dogs. Like on the buses I told you, they're all Alaskan husky sled dogs. So did everybody get a chance to meet them? A little bit, yeah, if they came out of their houses. They don't like the rain sometimes too. They're like us. They just want to stay warm in their little houses. But can you name some differences between our dogs and household dogs that you might have at home? The eyes. Their eyes are kind of unique. I mean, they have brown, they have blue, but that does come from their history of their breed, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's not so much what makes them unique. Any others? Their legs are really long. Yeah, there's not a bunch of basset hounds. No, and that's because they need to break snow. You got 3 feet packed snow, they need to jump up and also use those long legs to break through. However, if the snow's too deep, who on the sled team has the longest legs? The musher or the ranger, yeah. So they put on snowshoes. It's not just hanging onto that sled and being like, yeah, this is fun, hey moves. So it's getting off, putting snowshoes on, and getting in front of that team. Any other adaptations you can think of that they have? What was it? Their fur, yeah. Their fur is really unique. They have a double coat layer. I mean, different breeds have it, but they do. And that means they have 2 layers to their coat. They have an undercoat if you got the chance to really get in their fur. You might have noticed it's nice and warm and dry under there. And that's because they have stiff guard hairs that are water repellent. But they also have a down fur at the bottom, and that gets shed twice a year. And alright, so they shed that twice a year, and so that's why you may have noticed some hair everywhere. But they're basically wearing a rain jacket and a fleece coat at all times throughout the year. So this weather may be a bit more comfortable to them. Back when it was like the 70s and it was comfy for us, it was really hot to them back in June. If you can imagine, it was 70 here at one point. Alright, any other adaptations? You notice their paws? They're really big. Yeah, good snowshoes, but they're compact. That way snow doesn't get shoved up in there so bad. They actually don't have to have the booties that you may have seen on other dogs, like race dogs and such, because they do have those nice paws. However, if they do have an injury to that paw, we'll clean it and then put a bootie on it. Or if it's really soft ice or snow that's crystallized and can get really in there, then we'll put booties on as a preventative. It doesn't help keep them warm or anything. So you noticed the ears, they have fur all in their ears. They have fur across their entire body besides one place. Did you notice where? Yeah, their nose. So how do they keep that warm? They have that big fluffy tail that we breed them for as well. They wrap that tail around their nose in the winter. You may have seen some dogs doing it, but they keep it nice and warm. It's kind of wearing a scarf for us, so it keeps that warm air circulating, keeps their nose warm. Now my favorite adaptation that I wish we had that they have is their circulation system. Their veins and their arteries are right next to each other. So when their paw gets cold, like my fingers are really cold at the moment, well, your fingers get really cold. Their paw gets cold. That cold blood goes back towards their body, but the warm blood comes back from their heart right next to each other. It transfers the heat. So that way their body stays at constant temperature versus us. Our body says, okay, what's important? Our head and our chest, and it takes all the warm blood and keeps it there, even though you may be like, I like my fingers, your body doesn't care. Well, I kind of wish we had that. And birds, different bird species have that as well. That's how they can be on ice. So Alaskan Huskies are a very unique breed of dog. They come from the early 1900s. Does anybody know what happened in Alaska in the early 1900s? Gold, yep. So during that time, they said dogs were not safe all the way down to San Diego. If it looked like it could be a working dog, they brought it up to Alaska. So all those dogs bred with the native dogs that were here at the time. And that's why, if you did notice our dogs, they kind of look like rainbows. It's because we do not breed them for that color. They do have a lot of different breeds going on in there, but they are bred to be working dogs for those adaptations we talked about, those long legs, big paws, big fluffy tail. So that's what we're really looking for. Also, you may have noticed, they look like X, Y, or Z breed, like I've heard Malamute, German Shepherd, Siberian, and that's because they have that in there, very possibly. That's why you do see some blue, some brown eyes. We don't breed for or against a lot of those colors and traits. It's all for that long legs and everything we're looking for. Alright, so great. Now we know why they're here in the first place, what makes them great sled dogs. But the big elephant in the room is still, why would we have them here with so much technology? So any ideas why we would have dogs versus, let's say, snow machines?
Less footprint.
Less footprint, yeah. So pollution. You put gas in. I don't know if you saw the gas prices lately, especially here in Alaska. But you put gas in the snow machine, comes out exhaust. Whereas our dog, you put kibble in them, what comes out? Still a different kind of exhaust. But if you notice, our beautiful flowers are growing in dog poop compost. So we do actually use that poop and then make compost out of it. Anything else? I heard one over here.
Cheaper, money?
Cheaper, yep. So you can imagine buying the snow machines and having to fix them and put gas in them versus our dogs cost about $2.60 a day. We estimated about there. So overall, in the long run, they're cheaper. Also, one of my favorites is 2 dogs can make another dog versus I've never seen 2 snow machines do that. So in the long run, they are kind of cheaper because you'd have to keep buying snow machines. But also, who here's a snow machine mechanic? Yeah, I'm not either. So if you're out on that trail, a snow machine breaks down. Also, it doesn't work at about negative 20. Hosts had to start their car in cold temperatures. Not me. So yeah, they don't work too well. That's why you see so many cars that have the plug out of them because they have to keep that engine warm during the night because it'll be so cold. Well, those snow machines have that same problem. Our dogs, their favorite temperatures to run are about 0 degrees Fahrenheit to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That's their favorite. We stop at negative 40, not because they need to, it's the musher that needs to. Where when you sweat, you can freeze to death. There's a problem, so we have to give them a little bit of a break then. But, so yeah, they're able to go. Also, if one gets injured, what do? Put it on the sled. The rest of the team can just keep on going. Another is they know where the trails are and where we have historic cabins every about 10 miles along the park road. If you did see a couple when you were on a bus possibly, we do use those in the winter and that's where we'd stop. Those dogs have a very good reason to know where those cabins are. They get fed there. So they know their food's there, they can go there just once and they know how to get there. Versus you may have a GPS and you'd be on a snow machine, but if you can't see the hand in front of your face because it's so blizzard conditions out there, that GPS, unfortunately, is not going, oh, go left in 5 meters at the next tree. Whereas the dogs, they know where to go. So, oh yeah, that was the next one, companionship. When it's negative 40 out, which would you rather cuddle with? You bring them indoors, you get to cuddle with some nice warm doggies versus that cold snow machine. Another reason is because by law, the Alaskan National Lands Conservation Act of 1980, I'm going to quiz you on that, but that's actually by law, it gave the park more purpose. It also expanded the park from the original 1.6 million acres to 6 million acres and gave it more purpose to think about, like maintaining traditions and history. You standing here today is maintaining history and traditions. We've had sled dog demos since the 30s. So right here, we just didn't have stands at the time, so people have been learning about the dogs. This building is the oldest building used for its initial purpose in the park. It was built about 1928 or 29 by Harry Carson's and his first crew. So it's used for the sled dog building still. Also maintaining air quality. Who here got here and noticed it's just crisp, it's fresher air, and that's not by coincidence. If every family was allowed to drive on that tiny park road, that's a lot of extra emissions in the air versus taking a bus. Also, you took a bus, hopefully, to the sled dog demo, or walked, or commuted with other people, and that helps as well. Another reason is to maintain wilderness quality. This park is open all year round, so even when it's negative 40 out and there's some people out there skiing, a little bit crazy to be, but they're on their skis, what would you rather hear when you're out there? You know, maybe a couple barking dogs every now and again, or yeah. So maintaining wilderness quality. Also in the park, because it is considered a wilderness area, you better have a good reason to have machinery out there because it is considered by law wilderness. So by law you're not allowed to have machinery. So our options are pretty much walk, ski, or sled dogs. So, very good option. So great, now we know where they came from, how they're good breed, what they're doing, and what they're doing now. But what they're doing nowadays, like this past winter, they went over 3,000 patrol miles between all the rangers and the dogs. So they were doing anything and everything in the park, besides for search and rescue. They were bringing out fuel lockers, mattresses, Research supplies, Wolverine research, glacier research. This winter they'll be going to the Muldrow Glacier and cleaning that out because a lot of volunteers during the summer clean the glacier, so they'll be taking all the garbage back. So it's a lot of intense work that they're constantly doing throughout those about 7 months of the year. Great. Last question is, the big elephant also is, do they even like their jobs? And that's where I'm going to have you answer that. So are you ready to see them run? Yeah? All right. Well, we're going to do something really interesting. We're going to go running. We're going to go grab the dogs, put our hands under their collar, and pull them up. We're going to put them from 4-paw drive into 2-paw drive. And that helps for our safety and their safety. So these big clunkers, don't step on them, those precious paws we talked about. And we're going to put them in 2-paw. Also, who has more power, a 90-pound pure muscle sled dog on like this, you know? So that's why for our safety as well. So you're going to have to get a little bit more excited if you want them to get more excited. So who's ready? There we go. All right. So answer that question. They really like their jobs, and we'll be back in a minute.
They know what's going on.
So do you think they like their jobs? Yeah, it's a running joke around here that they're the happiest federal employees you'll ever be. So Tatum is one of our notorious rock eaters, if you remember me saying on the bus. So this is like the dessert buffet. The problem with rock eating is they get too many in their belly and then they need surgery to remove those rocks. So better to just take the temptation away.